Taking the learning type measure test has helped me to think about learning a little bit differently and to reflect on my experiences throughout especially middle school and high school. The results of my test said that I'm a type 2 learner, so I learn best by conceptualizing and watching. I wasn't surprised at all with these results, because even though I'm a musician, I am a very systematic, left-brain lateralized person who likes music theory, math, and other logical things. I'd much rather walk into a lecture with a PowerPoint and have high-level dialogue than break into groups and move around the classroom in some kind of interactive activity. I like to come up with an exact, organized answer that can be proven. For example, contemporary trends is one of my favorite classes this year, because we use numbers to analyze music in the most systematic, black and white way I have ever experienced. While some may not enjoy thinking of music in such a mathematical way, it helps me to understand the composer's intention, so I come to a right-brained understanding through a left-brained approach. Before this class, I never realized what an advantage my learning style gave me throughout high school and even middle school. My advanced placement classes in high school were all geared towards type 2 learners, and as a result, filled with people I now realize were also, for the most part, type 2 learners. For some reason, different types of learning rarely happened in these upper-level classes. In hindsight, I can now understand and label this as marginalization. At my high school, kids who didn't thrive in a classroom based on asking what and solving problems in an exact and methodical way were put on a track of regular and college prep courses, instead of honors and advanced placement classes. Now, reflecting on my high school experience from a pedagogical standpoint, I can see that other types of learners, those who need to experiment and act to learn, those who like to know why things are the way they are, and those who like to look at things in different, non-traditional ways, were not always considered to be intellectual equals. After reading more of Bernice McCarthy's The Learning Cycle, the 21st Century and Millennial Learners, I have discovered that, in general, less than 20% of students are type 2 learners. It makes sense, then, why less than 20% of the students in my high school took a majority of advanced placement classes. The lecture mode of teaching, which, for the most part, I grew up experiencing, was really directed at the very few students who benefited the most from it, and therefore ended up graduating with honors and AP credits. This also applies to the way students in my school were repeatedly divided by the results of standardized test scores. Standardized tests, as well as most of the tests given as regular means of evaluating understanding in classes, are often geared towards type 2 learners. There is one right answer, and it is rarely necessary to experiment, try many different ways of thinking about things, or reflect on asking why. This test has helped me to realize that in order to be the very effective educator I strive to be, I will have to step far outside of my comfort zone. I will have to become more familiar with the 3 more common learning styles, and for the most part, teach very differently than I was taught. I will teach 100% of my classroom, not the small portion of type 2 learners. Something that has stood out to me in our discussions and readings about critical pedagogy so far is the need to help students form a personal connection with the material in order for it to be relevant and for them to remember it for more than just a test. While, as a type 2 learner, this was never something vitally important for me to learn concepts and information, it is something I will have to ensure happens in my classroom, especially for the type 1 and type 4 learners. I now understand that this is necessary for those types of learners to reflect on the material and experience how it is applicable in their own lives. As an educator, it is my responsibility to understand the makeup of learning styles in my classes, and to design my lesson plans to allow for a balance of all learning styles. In this way, I can place my students on more equal footing and allow them to thrive and be enthusiastic about their own learning. I will work to avoid marginalizing students who are not type 2 learners by varying activities, helping students to make personal connections to the material, and encouraging different ways of looking at ideas.